Who will make decisions for you if one day you cannot make them for yourself? And have you legally chosen the right person? Today, on our Powerful Women Today 1 Million Woman Challenge, we are speaking with our PWT mentor expert and favorite lawyer ever, Marlenne Doss, about one of the most important and overlooked legal protections for women, powers of attorney. From financial decisions to personal care and medical advocacy, this conversation explore why every woman, regardless of age or stage of life, needs to understand how legal planning protects her future, her family, and her voice. Marlene, let us begin with the question many people avoid. What happens when there is no power of attorney in place?
Well, um, there's two parts to that, right? Because there's two different powers of attorneys. So when it comes to healthcare decisions, so if somebody becomes unwell, let's say, which is often the trigger for when people need to step in and use a power of attorney for on behalf of somebody else. So there's two of them. One is the power of attorney for personal care, which deals with the healthcare concerns, and the other one is your power of attorney for property. Now, when there's no power of attorney for personal care, there is the Substitute Decision Makers Act that dictates who can step in and make decisions for you. However, I find that in real life examples, sometimes that's not even enough. Like if an individual needs to be put into a home, they
Mm.
often request a power of attorney for personal care.
Oh,
It's their requirement, from the front end because they don't necessarily have the awareness and the understanding of the Substitute Decision Makers Act. So their default is to request this document to make sure that whichever family member they're dealing with, actually has the authorization to speak on behalf of and make decisions for the individual that needs to go into their homes,
oh,
right?
wow.
hmm So if you don't have it, then they might insist on that. And then you're left having to get a lawyer to step in and kind of explain why the next of kin is the person that can make the decisions. And there is a ranking of who's going to make those decisions for you. So it's your spouse first, or common law spouse. And then after that, it's children, right? So if there's any issues, conflicts, relationships, things like that, and they can't, or you wouldn't want them to be the next decision makers, then it's more.
Or the decision needs to occur super fast and they are not able to get there. Like there's so much more to powers of attorney than who you appoint, right?
Yeah.
Now, here are some common misconceptions that I came across in preparing for today's show. I'm too young to need one.
Mhm.
My spouse automatically has authority. My children can make decisions for me.
Mhm.
And my favorite one, only wealthy people need legal planning.
Yes, those are all wrong.
I know, but these are
For the most part,
common.
they are all wrong. Yes.
Correct, because let's take the my spouse would automatically have authority, right?
Right. Yes.
Oftentimes couples travel together or God forbid something happens and you are together.
Mhm.
The person that you think automatically will take care of your personal care power of attorney is also in need of personal care power of attorney, right?
Yes.
And this is just assuming, oh, I don't need one. I'm married. My husband is the next, the next thing kin. What did you call it?
Next, like it's to by your relationship, or
Yes,
your biological, relationship, or whatever your. Yes. So it ranks them by their relationship to you, and
correct.
the spouse is the first person for the personal care one. Okay, but the thing is, it doesn't. They can't use it to manage your assets, your bank accounts, deal with the CRA, to file any taxes. That's the other power of attorney, which is the power of attorney for property, right?
Now, should you
And
choose the same person for both?
so it depends. It depends on the circumstances. Like some, it really, and I say it depends because and I have this conversation a lot with parents where they might have many kids, and they feel like naming them in their wills and in their powers of attorneys is gonna, it's how they're gonna show them that they love them all, or they love them, period, right? But a lot of our conversation is around what this responsibility actually is, and
Mhm.
it is a responsibility. So somebody might have two kids. One of them is more emotional. One of them is more financially savvy and capable of handling that, right?
Yeah.
So, it might be in their best interest to not have the emotional one be the one that needs to make decisions in crisis.
Put them in charge of finance and put the financial one in charge of my personal care.
Right. But
Really?
no, I
Like,
mean, like the
no,
emotional one
mistakes
may
that
not
people
be
make,
right.
right?
The emotional one may not be able to like, if I am in an emergency and taken to the hospital and there's some decisions that need to be made, I'm probably not going to take the one that is more emotional and cannot handle those decisions as
Yeah.
my first person in line. Okay. It doesn't mean that they can't confer with one another and have the conversations and make a collective decision. But if they disagree, then it's very helpful to say, this person is the one that actually knows my wishes, and this person is the one that's going to, you know, make these decisions for me. They're going to decide, right?
Yeah.
So if it's sensitive, I want the person that I name, and
Mhm.
it's important for me as the person that's creating the power of attorney to have these conversations with them, to first of all let them know that I'm naming them in these documents, but also to make it clear to them my wishes, right?
Yeah.
If they find out that I have Alzheimer's and dementia, and then you see that I have cancer, please don't give me chemo. It's not necessary unless they're going to tell you that it's going to take pain from me, right? And this is just an example. I'm not saying
Yeah,
this is
no, of course.
what
And
it should be.
and the thought that I had, the big aha that I had when it comes to powers of attorney, because I think what is misunderstood, or what people think they know, right,
Mhm,
is that, oh, is somebody that's going to take care of me when I can no longer take care of myself. Great. But in the cases of personal care, or something that occurs not because of natural causes, not because
mhm,
of old age, not because of, but it could be, you may be in a car, back to the accident, right? You may be in an accident, and sometimes, even in a coma, people come back,
mhm.
right? So the person that you're appointing to make decisions on your behalf, what happens if you get better?
Then
And
you make the
meanwhile,
decision for yourself. So
but
the
meanwhile, you're living with the consequences of the decisions they have made on your behalf,
oh,
if your power of attorney is not specific enough as to what is it you want.
yes. So for instance, if you really don't want to be resuscitated, and then you get resuscitated and they find out, it's puts the doctors in a huge liability. It
Mm,
puts the attorney probably in a liability. I'm sure there's something that can be done there, but also what conflicts is that going to create, right? So if that's your
yeah,
wish, you need to make it clear, when is it that I want to and when don't I want to. Am I okay with heroic measures? Do I want to be put on life support? If I am in a coma and the doctors tell you that I'm brain dead,
yeah.
do I want
Organ
you
transplants.
yeah, do
Like,
I
I
want
mean,
you to
this
stay on
is,
life support indefinitely, or is
that's
there an
right.
end, right? So those are the conversations you're going to have. You're not going to outline all the details in these documents, but the conversations are so important.
Yeah. And you're going to get closer working with someone like you, opposite to
Mhm.
just, assuming people know what
Correct.
is it you want, right?
Well, yes, I think that's a big part of my job, our job is to ask those questions that people often don't think about, right? And again, when it comes to the power of attorney for property, so that deals with, I mean, property is not just real estate in this context, it's all of your assets. So it's
Mhm.
bank accounts, investments, debts, also, you know, uh,
Ooh,
litigation. If somebody sues you or you need to sue somebody, they can step into your shoes, right? There's many different reasons that you would use the power of attorney for property, okay? And the power of attorney for property, unlike the power of attorney for personal care, can be used even when you are capable, if that's your wish. right? So if you're out of the country, or
Okay.
you want it to be for a specific purpose, like there's ones that we can create as, oh, I'm not gonna be here, but I have a closing on this transaction or whatever it is, and I want to give you signing authority to deal with whatever it is and accept the keys if it's a real estate transaction, things like that. So you can have them for specific purposes, but you should also have a general power of attorney for property that is continuing, which means that if you prepare it and then you become incapable, it doesn't get canceled. So because powers of attorneys for property, if they're not written that way, you can't use them once the person becomes incapable. Okay, so it has to be a
Oh.
continuing, yeah, it has to be a continuing power of attorney for property so that they can still use it, which is typically, again, like I said, when they want to or need to use it if you become incapable. And without it, it's all right. Just one more thing. Without it, and I think this is the big thing that people don't understand, unlike the personal care ones, your healthcare decisions, etc., there isn't a law that dictates who can step into your shoes if you don't have
Oh.
an attorney for property. So the Substitute Decision Makers Act is only for healthcare decisions. There is
Mhm.
a law that says if I become incapable and I can't go to the bank and I can't deal with my business and I can't do whatever it is, then this is the ranking of people. There's no such thing. If you don't
So
have the
your
power of attorney
spouse,
for property,
back to your spouse, and we're going to speak about single
yeah,
men and women. It's not just women,
yes.
but uh, let's slow down there for a second.
Hmm.
So I am stranded in an island on vacation, and some kind of hurricane comes, and I am not able to get back and make my payments.
Right.
Right. So my spouse cannot automatically step in for me.
Nope. Unless they happen to be jointly on the accounts with you,
Oh, wow.
or have all the credit cards with you, or somehow have already gotten signing authority with the CRA or whoever it is that they need to be dealing with. No,
Mhm.
they
Or
cannot.
my child, for that matter, right?
Yep.
Like I said, is for men and women, given
Mhm.
our age. Okay, so that is key, right?
It
Like,
is.
who can? Because let's not just think of like death and
Yeah.
illness, or like poop can happen. It can happen every day that you're not able to get to, like you said, closing a deal or completing a transaction or meeting a deadline or something like that, right? And you can certainly appoint maybe a sister or your accountant, your attorney. I don't know, like, who can you appoint other than blood?
You can appoint anybody. It's whoever you want to appoint. You just want to make sure that they know you're appointing them because they can also refuse to act.
Yes, that was
Right?
one of my questions.
So if you surprise people with your plan and they find out, because something has happened that they were named and they're like, oh no, I don't want this responsibility, or I now live in a
And as
different
you said,
province, or
sometimes people think
yeah,
that it's an honor,
right. Or
right?
I have so much going on in my life and my parents are ill and I'm taking care of them and I just do not have the capacity to deal with this. Somebody else needs to step in. Well, if you don't have an alternative named in there, and or they're not wanting to take on the role, your only recourse is to go to the court to get appointed, to request, and that's called
Okay.
an application to become a guardian. And it can be for guardian of property or a guardian of personal care. So it's in authorizes you to do similar things that the powers of attorneys do, but obviously the power of attorney is much cheaper
Mhm.
and much easier to amend,
I would
update, or
imagine
right?
faster.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
a hundred
course.
percent faster. We filed
Yeah.
an application for a guardian of property. I think it's been over 6 months now, and there's no, like, we're not, we haven't received
Moving
it.
the needle.
Yes.
So, okay, so speaking of property, right? And
Mhm.
in many women own businesses,
Mhm.
does the power of attorney for property include business decisions?
So yes, it can, or you can have separate ones, right? So if you have somebody who's in your business, for instance, or somebody who's in a related field, and you think that they would be better to step in to your shoes, um, if you became incapable. Like for me, I'm a lawyer, right? We're actually mandated now, finally, to have a plan in place. A lot of lawyers didn't even have it. So I probably aren't like I do not have the same power of attorney for property for my personal stuff as I do for my business, because you need to know
Well, you need to be a lawyer,
yeah,
right?
you need to know the
Yeah.
business of
I
running
mean,
a law practice, and you need to be able to do the things that so I need another lawyer to step in
hmm.
to deal with the my practice side of it if something were to happen to me.
Hmm.
So you
We're
can
gonna
have
have to
it on
come
one
back to the
side,
business one because
but
I'm already sensing there's more layers to this.
yes, okay, yes, there is. I
To
was gonna
doing it right, of course, which is
correct.
what we're
It also
empowering
has to
women
be
to do.
drafted properly, or else one can cancel the other, right? So you have to make sure that a new power of attorney hasn't canceled the old one or whatever it is. So when you set them up the first time, especially if you're doing more than one, and when you come to update them, they need to be done correct, so you don't end up unintentionally canceling one that you didn't mean to.
Yeah, and another mistake. Thank you for that. Like this is ongoing. I mean, Marlene is one of our key champions of the 1 million woman challenge, and of course, a colleague and a friend and a PwC mentor expert. So these are conversations that you need to take your time
Mhm.
processing one at a time, because not only is there misconceptions of what people think they know, but there's also changes to the law all the time, right? So please do take the time, especially if you're a woman that has children, if you're a woman that is single, if you're a woman that that has a legacy to protect, right? And want to make sure your wishes are done. Now, I want to step back for a second and think, when it comes to the person you've appointed, one of the biggest mistakes that I'm guilty of, and I know many people are, that even if you try to, if you're being conscientious and you got all your documents in place, that you don't review them yearly.
Mhm.
Because you know what? That child that you appointed, right? It was perfectly when you first drew it and they accepted, and we all forgot about it, but maybe they're going through their own challenges, or maybe they're studying abroad, or maybe, you know what I mean, like circumstances change.
Mhm.
And if you don't update your documents, or at least go through the Q&A with someone like Marlene, with your attorney, because you don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
So when you have that other person asking you questions, chances are they're going to ask you questions you haven't thought about. How often do you recommend someone review all their estate planning? Like yearly? Is that
Yeah,
too much?
look, if
Or
there's nothing that's changed at all, and you know that you don't need to make any changes, then that's fine. But every 3 to 5 years, there's usually something that's changed. Somebody was born, somebody passed away, somebody became unwell, somebody moved away. Something happens that usually requires something. But even if those aren't the situations, just turn your head to it. People forget, right? We prepare these documents and we put them aside, which is great. So they kind of function like insurance policies, which is that's what we want. But then people forget what they've put in them, right? So
Mhm.
what you don't want is to, create it, and when I'm writing it and my kids are 16 years old, and then I don't touch it and now they're 24, but I don't have them named in anything, then probably I would want them to be named in now, right? So you want to turn your attention to those things as people mature, or I've named somebody and they've moved and I never
Yeah, or
updated
especially
it.
with blended families,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like that is, trust
Actually,
me, Marlene and I did an episode of how to leave people out of your
yeah,
will in blended families a few years ago. And it was like the best performing video that year. So we are going to come back and update that conversation for sure.
blended families are beautiful, but they do need their specific
They come with their own dynamic, you know?
tailored thing. But actually, what, as we're speaking now, another thing came into mind that I do hear sometimes, where it's not even the child that they're concerned about, right? I see a parent and they're like, okay, I named my daughter or my son, but you know what? Now they're in a relationship with somebody, and I don't really trust them, or I feel like they're going to influence them in ways. that I don't want them to. And if I give them control to be able to act as my attorneys in whichever one, I'm concerned. And sometimes that's enough for them to make the change, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And
Because,
sometimes it's legit. If you know that your child is going to be influenced and they may not end up doing the decisions that you would want them to do because of their partners,
Mhm.
it's
And
worth
your
having a
children
chat.
change, right, as they grow.
Mhm.
And
Correct.
actually, that's another topic we're covering in prime living. What happens when, you're no longer in alignment with the value system or belief system that your adult children have with you,
Yes.
right? With yours.
Hmm.
And it's not right or wrong. It's just it happens.
It
And
happens.
then what does that mean? What's the domino effect
Yes.
of
You
it,
know,
right?
yes. And you were talking about, the misconceptions and things like that. And I think there's, tied with those things, it's a lack of understanding. Like, a lot of people don't realize that these documents that we're talking about can only be created when you're capable. So
Ooh.
you have to be of sound mind for me to write it up for you. So if and sometimes it comes too late. Like, sometimes it's the adult children of their parents that are coming to me and saying, my father and mother was diagnosed with this illness or that illness, and I need to set up accounts for them in the bank. I need to be able to help them. I need to get them into a nursing home. I need to. And I'm like, okay, great. I would happy to help you. My first question is always, how is their mind? Are they capable? Can they
Yeah.
instruct me? Will they know what a power of attorney is? If the answer is no, I'm not allowed to prepare it.
So what happens then? So say,
Then
because actually I know
guardianship.
someone that this happened to,
Yes.
that their father became a widower,
Hmm.
and then he began to date um, a lady,
Hmm.
and he began to make a little bit of questionable decisions,
Hmm.
and she tried to step in. He didn't have a power of attorney. There was none of those documents.
Hmm.
And she could tell that his mental capacity was not what it used to be, right? Like there were signs that whatever it was. So she was trying, and I think she's still trying to get appointed as a guardian, like you said. And I don't even know if that's the right word, but it's an after the fact.
Yeah.
What happens then?
So guardianship applications are with the court. So if there isn't a power of attorney in place,
Hmm.
the only way to be able to get the authorization to step into the roles, whether it's the property pieces or the healthcare decisions, is to be appointed by the court as a guardian of property. Now, in some circumstances, the Office of the Public Guardian and Trustee can step in to
Hmm.
act on behalf of these individuals, but typically when there's nobody else or nobody else that is would qualifies, right? Then they can step in, but it's on a case by case basis. And sometimes after they're appointed, then somebody can step in to take over the role, but it's actually an application to them to say why, you're okay to do that. And I did do that one before where, as an older gentleman, public guardian trustee became involved at some point, and they were handling the property, and then his children needed to apply to the office of the public guardian trustee to take over their role.
Yeah.
So that one was outside of the court. But generally speaking, to become appointed without the powers of attorney for property, it's a court application. And it takes
Mhm.
time and it's costly. Your
I would
litigation.
imagine it can get messy too,
Yeah, it
right?
depends on who's
Because-
involved, but it's costly.
yeah.
It's costly and it takes time and it's stressful and it's not an enjoyable process, frankly, right? So you can leave that to your family to have to deal with,
Yeah.
or you can do the responsible thing as far as I'm concerned and
Yeah.
actually set up your powers of attorneys. It's so simple. Really, it is. Like, it's not a difficult thing.
I'm more, what really caught me, and I'm walking away with is the fact that for personal care and property for that matter, if you're incapacitated for if it's a temporary
Yes.
situation, make sure you've chosen wisely. I mean, you're going to live with the consequences of the choices they've made on your behalf that they
Yeah.
think they know for you. right?
That's right.
So very, very important. And you have a gift. Well, you have many, but the one gift that you, well, I mean, many for the 1 million woman challenge, but the one is you're currently offering a special discount for women if they want to establish their power of attorney, and we'll put the link below, and then you can read more about it, and follow Marlene, and she's one of our mentor experts, so you can see her insights on our magazines, our podcasts, in everywhere that PWT goes. And you are one of our speakers this coming fall in our Prime Life, Prime Living event, live event in the GTA. And I will give you more information about that. We're having our fireside chat with Marlene. So super excited. Thank you, Marlene. And I have already more questions buzzing. So for sure, you're coming back. So
Thank you.
thanks so much, everyone. Take care. And until go check your documents and
Mhm.
connect with Marlene. Take care. Until next time.